Governor Whitman, is Steve Lonegan a good Republican candidate?
Well, he will certainly set up a real choice. I mean, the differences are pretty stark, and he represents a wing of the party that has gotten a lot of traction, and it certainly will be a referendum, I think, to a certain degree on how well that plays in places other than very red districts.
There are those who contend, Governor Florio, that Cory Booker may not be ready for a job in the U.S. Senate, that he lacks experience. He hasn't been an effective mayor in Newark. Is he qualified to become a U.S. Senator if he wins this election?
Of course he is. I mean, he's qualified to be senator. I think the race comes down really to two very dramatically, as Governor Whitman said, dramatically different views of what public policy should be.
Governor Whitman, what would be the inside strategy for this kind of candidate, for Steve Lonegan? Does he run the campaign much like a primary where he's really working hard, spending his money to get out his conservative core to come to the polls and hope that independents just don't come out because they're not interested or they don't know enough about the U.S. Senate
Well,
race?
the fact that it's a separate election means that voter turnout is going to be very important. Get out the vote is going to be the key to it because there's just not going to be a big voter turnout. And most people are not even going to know what's happening, I think. They don't realize that there are going to be two general elections. So it's going to be something where if he can really get his base and get them excited, which they are. They tend to be very, very focused people, and if he can get them out, then he can maybe make a dent. I don't know that it'll be enough to beat Cory Booker, because I think Cory's going to have a very good get-out-the-vote effort.
Do you agree with that, Governor Florio?
Well, it's going to be an election in the middle of October on a Wednesday of all days. So, I mean, it was consciously designed to get few people involved. And so I think that what you're talking about is Cory Booker has name recognition, has money. Mr. Lonegan apparently doesn't have a whole lot of money, but he has got loyal followers. I mean, the Tea Party movement is probably going to be his base of support, very conservative people.
Do I take from that that you, if you were governor, would not have had a special election in October if you were facing a re-election bid as governor in November?
Oh no, I think what the governor's done, Governor Christie, has been very clever. I mean, he's a very smart political person. He just wants to get himself as separated as much as possible from Mr. Lonegan's philosophy.
What would be your strategy here, running for re-election? Would you spend $12 million in a special election to, as Governor Florio is suggesting, separate yourself from this very conservative candidate?
Well, I suspect at the very beginning I might have appointed someone to fill out the full term and not gone through the election process at all. Now, wait for the 14 months. But having said that, since Governor Christie made the decision he did, I thought having a primary was an appropriate way to pick the candidates on both sides. I don't think I would have done a second election because, again, it's extra money, it confuses people, they don't see it. I believe Chris Christie's going to win with a big enough margin that he doesn't have to worry about it. He really didn't have to worry about either Cory Booker bringing out votes that would go against him necessarily or being tagged with Steve Lonegan.
Are there issues that could cause a real challenge for Mayor Booker? The high murder rate in Newark, questions about his sexuality, and the financial disclosure forms, which he's just released, showing that his former West Orange law firm gave him a large payout. The firm which has received lucrative contracts in the city while Cory Booker has been mayor.
Ironically enough, the election being separate, the election being not involved with the general election, is going to be a big asset to Cory Booker. I mean, there's not a lot of attention being paid. The governor was correct in saying this is not going to be a high turnout election. So Cory Booker is going to win this by a fairly substantial margin.
New Jersey has not elected a Republican U.S. Senator in 40 years.
Cliff Case.
Clifford Case was the last one. Governor Florio, is New Jersey becoming so much bluer that only a Democrat can represent this state?
Jersey Republican values are dramatically different than the national Republican values. And it's a good example of Mr. Lonegan running on a platform of sorts that has no resonance whatsoever in New Jersey. And over the last number of years, justified or not, the Republican candidates have had attributed to them these values that Mr. Lonegan has. And then the ones who do that are not successful.
You look back over those 4 decades, Governor Whitman, and New Jersey has elected in 10 elections for governor. 4 of those governors have been Republicans, but New Jerseyans just don't seem to elect a Republican senator.
Well, they're certainly more interested in the gubernatorial. I mean, don't forget, this is constitutionally the strongest governorship in the country. And so this is the one everybody concentrates on, and particularly the political people. We haven't always done as well on the Senate races, and I think that is because many people would far rather, if they're going to play at a statewide level, they'd rather be governor, because that's got so much ability to affect change and to make a difference.
Governor Florio and Governor Whitman, your perspectives are always interesting. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.